Welcome to the BXG Podcast, the podcast where pop culture and nerd culture meet.
You think it's just going to be barbecue sauce?
Because if you actually read those books, it's just gobbledygook.
I really think clothes should be mandatory.
Speaking of Star Wars,
Captain America.
trailer reaction video. Episode 5 of PBC, the Halloween episode. There's three kind of disparate stories in this episode. We have Sarah and Hunter and Marty all kind of furiously working with Lindsay to try to get whatever documents that they need caught up and squared away. We find out that Makayla, who is, the woke feminist du jour, is actually like a very silver spoon, rich person who is in the process of getting canceled. We learn at the beginning of the show that this is Hunter pranking her, but she takes it to the next level. And then we have the case of Jamie's no good, horrible, very bad day. And the scene early on in the show in which Jamie has a bird shit on his hat, shit on his hair, and shit in his mouth almost made me die because I was eating some Fritos with my salsa. The bird shit in his mouth, and I started to choke because I was laughing. And the hits kept coming for Jamie.
Yeah.
And being electrocuted and all of these other things. And you had that. You had Makayla appearing on Dave's podcast with basically the Joe Rogan background behind him. This episode started off from the very beginning for me. It was tip to tail the funniest television episode that I've seen since The Office in its prime. And it started with Dave wearing the Bruce Springsteen outfit, Hunter not knowing who he was, and I love that because I hate Bruce Springsteen. I think he's terrible. So that whole thing, just right there, set the stage, and then just joke after joke after joke after joke. And this episode was written by Josh Simpson, who plays Jamie. And I'll tell you what, hats off, because Jesus Christ, I almost died watching this episode. From laughter. That would have been on my headstone. Here lies Brenton, killed by comedy.
And the way to go out, because
right.
We talked about comedy being dead. Not us dying from it, but comedy being dead.
Right.
And there's a reason why, the last episode was good, but this is the episode of this show.
Yeah.
I had Jamie watch. I was just like, Jamie, you need to watch this because there's a scene. Because I followed the Instagram account, I was like, there's a scene where a bird shits in Jamie's mouth. And I didn't even care that I already saw it online. I didn't care. If something like that gets ruined in some other show, that ruins everything. I laughed harder when I saw it in the show than I did when I already saw it online. Because it's so funny because, you don't understand the context. On the clip on the internet, it was just that happening.
Right.
But he sets it up as, his family, Halloween just isn't for him. I just need to clock in. I need to clock out. I got everything done. That's it. And then, of course, he finds out he doesn't have everything done. He has to fix something with whatever the document is. I mean, we don't really know the dial. We don't know the jargon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the look on his face when he realizes it, that he's not going to get to be able to do that, is so funny. And then you just know it's disaster for him. And we've talked many times. We love him. He's my favorite character on the show. It's because it's so funny. But the best thing is him not having interaction.
With anyone.
with anyone. And if it is, it's minimal. It's the most minimal. It's literally like they don't want to have any interaction with him, and like he's trying to, but it doesn't matter. So we have that, which is hilarious, essentially hilarious. But it's also a Halloween episode.
Mm-hmm.
So
you have Makayla running around as Frankenstein, and I couldn't get it out of my head with that. Excuse me, with the head piece on. I don't know if it was the makeup or the headpiece or some combination of the two, but I just couldn't stop thinking, like, she looks like Jane Lynch.
sure,
Right
there's
now.
a little bit of that,
Jane Lynch, and she's doing, like, she's broadcasting to her YouTube network live to read an apology. She is going on Dave's, daddy whatever podcast that the tech guys are like, yeah, we're not even actually recording.
Get paid $500 time, whatever to do it. It's just hilarious. The IT guys are also underrated, hilarious. They're so funny.
And you have that whole situation, and then just as you think that Hunter and Sarah are going to finally share that, have the big kiss scene that they've been working towards through now a season and 2/3. Jamie just kind of is there like a horror movie. Like something out of a Resident Evil game. So even though this episode felt like a culmination of a lot of things, it also sets up the finale for a lot of different things. But I'm
sad it's almost over.
Me too. I'm sad that the season's almost over. I wish that it could be 12 episodes, 24 episodes, 8, you know what I mean? And
52, give us one a week, and
just give me a full season, like a full network season. But it's just, this episode was, it was so funny. It was so funny. I laughed. The last time that I laughed this hard was when we did the Summer of George and we watched the Jimmy. And I was just losing my fucking mind, but I was on the same level. And, the whole way through, it just didn't stop. The whole way through, there was no like breaks in the humor, because even some of the things that weren't like as overtly funny as someone having a bird shit in their actual mouth was like Sarah's outfit and how
when she's trying to be sexy, but she can't. Like, she's trying to put her leg up on the table, and she's like, "What are you trying to do?" And she's like, "You're the count." And it's just, and Emily Tosta, it's just, there's just this whole thing where the show is so awkward. Like, everyone is so awkward.
Yeah.
But yet no one gets it because they're all awkward. So if you're all awkward, then it doesn't matter. And that's what makes the show so funny to me. It's great. It's so good. I'm glad you said the Bruce Springsteen thing, because I thought that was hilarious. I like Bruce Springsteen.
Right.
I'm not a big, like, I like Bruce Springsteen. I'm not like, I haven't gone to like 23 of it. I've never been to a Bruce. But when he's just like, ugh,
yeah,
and he doesn't even know the lyrics to the songs.
Right.
I thought that was so funny.
Well, I don't think Bruce Springsteen knows the lyrics to half the song.
Right, and that's like the thing. It was why just like even his biggest fans don't know what he's necessarily saying at this point. But it's just that I'm a millennial. I don't know who is Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, the boss.
So good.
You're the boss. Why are you calling? Why are you calling me? You're the.
We know.
Stop rubbing it in my face. Yeah. Yeah, very excellent. I just.
It's a yacht. Is it a yacht? It's a large boat.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
They're not
pleasure
oligarchs.
Pontoon. Yeah,
they're not oligarchs.
That's what I mean. It's like every piece of this episode was funny.
It's almost I don't know how like all this works, and maybe we can ask if and when we get somebody else. Did they know that this Halloween episode would come out the week of Christmas? Because if they did know that, it's almost like you just don't give a crap.
Yeah.
And so like this episode has to be as ridiculous as possible because it's so away from the season of
Halloween.
that,
Yeah.
which isn't actually that long ago, but it's just because it was so funny. Like
Yeah.
I did not stop watching. I'm gonna watch it again after we're done. I was gonna watch it before, but I got caught up in something else. And I was just like, it was as funny as I thought.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't stop laughing.
That was the thing, was like when we took a little break between episode 4 and 5 recording, I went back through the episode and I was like, because all I could think about was the end. And I just watched it last night, but all I could think about was the end. And I'm like, I know something happened at the beginning that was hilarious, but I can't think of what it was. So I'm like just kind of scrubbing through and I was like, oh, bird shits in Jamie's mouth. That's the thing that was funny. And I almost
and the description of like it was following me.
Yeah,
I went here.
it
I went
followed
here.
me
I went
from Jersey Mike's to, and he's got this hat on. He's doing this dance and everything, and just I don't know. I think that there's I think that there's it's interesting to kind of like when you're writing these characters or when you're acting these characters, I think you obviously, or maybe not, but I mean, we're no actors, but I would imagine that you kind of pull from things. And I see a lot of Tobias Funke from Arrested Development.
In
Jamie's character, where it's just like he's so has no self-awareness. And but he's also, you can tell, like very intelligent, and that just kind of reminds me of Tobias, played by David Cross. And
that's a really good call, Brent.
It was in that episode last night, or no. It was in the 4th episode when he had the scarf on. I was like, that's something Tobias Funke would do.
Yeah,
and I thought that
helps me write.
But then even at the end, like after he gets electrocuted and he's just kind of reaching for their leg and everything, it reminded me very much of Tobias's story arc in, I can't remember if it was the 3rd season or the 2nd season, where he gets hair plugs and his body rejects them. And so he just is like, he looks like a leper almost, like sitting in this wheelchair. I don't know, but I just feel like you said earlier, and we talked about this in one of the episodes, is that if I'm one of these big networks or one of these big streaming services, and I see people making something that is of such high quality, and they're just putting it out on YouTube and collecting ad revenue or whatever else other money or ad placements or whatever that they're getting paid for it, I would be mortified if I was at the head of one of these studios, because we're putting all this money into something like Blockbuster or some of these other just not very good.
Was that I know it wasn't a direct shot, but his ad in the podcast episode is for Blockbuster.
That's funny. Well, no, I think that was,
it's not a real shot, but it was like, it was funny. It's not a real shot because you don't know, but I thought that was hilarious.
Well, I think that was part of it.
Can't
was
do
just
that.
Like the tech guys just give him like fake ads to read. You know what I mean?
But I thought that was funny. I thought it was very like hilarious.
But I look at some of the stuff that's on network TV. It's like that Ghost Show on CBS. I didn't think that show would make it past 3 episodes and get canceled. And now they're saying that it's the #1 comedy in America.
It's my mom. My mom loves that show.
Does your mom watch PBC? Because if she's not, she's going to have.
I keep telling her to. I won't shoot down Ghost. I've never watched it, but my mom loves that show. I want to make sure.
I'm going to tell you, this show's better than it.
I've never seen it, so I can't say that.
Your mom will have
I know
a new
that PBC is very good
when she gets done with PBC. But with that being said, how do they top this in the finale?
More birds shitting in Jamie's mouth.
I don't know. I mean,
I just think this show began with his Telsa.
Yeah.
In season 2.
In. Yeah.
That's what I mean. This season began with his Telsa locking him in, and that was incredible. And we thought that was amazing. The bird shitting eclipses that,
Yeah. Oh,
and that,
it's not even close.
but that it's not even close. But that was still hilarious.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It's just so well written, like the whole way around. And I think that, when I've tried to, ever since the second episode, and we saw that Christian Pierce wrote that episode, and it was very funny with his whole goth like turn and everything like that. And I don't know how many of them, I've tried to pay more attention to who wrote the episode, because like you wonder, it's like, okay, I have the opportunity to write this episode and I'm going to make my character shine, but also how do I make everybody else shine? And I think that really the best 2 episodes of this season so far have been 2 and 5. And I don't think I don't know how much of a coincidence that is, but they're very funny. But the whole thing's very funny. I mean, we gush, but it's something that belongs. It belongs. It deserves to be appreciated by a wider audience, I would say.
right.
Because it is very it's very high quality. It's well written, in the whole way around. So one more episode to go. That airs the day this posts. So we'll have a review for that sometime, next week. So we will.